Welcome to CKLA Knowledge for Lesson 11, Tutankhamun, the Golden Pharaoh, Part 1. Our purpose for listening today is to review the importance of Hatshepsut. We want to identify key details about the pharaohs of ancient Egypt. We want to listen to understand the word archaeologist. Can you say archaeologist? Let's review a little bit. You know what continent we're on, Africa, and the country of Egypt is where we've been learning. Egypt is in the northeast corner of Africa. Let's get ready to go back in time and see what else we can learn about ancient Egypt. Our civilization chart is now complete. We have talked about farming, cities, writing, religion, and most recently, the leaders. In Mesopotamia, there was Hammurabi, Nebuchadnezzar, but now in ancient Egypt, we are learning about pharaohs. We've heard about Djoser, Khufu, Khafre, Thutmose the first, second, and third, but today we're going to learn about a new pharaoh. Today, we are going to think about all we know about Hatshepsut. Remember, she had pictures and statues made of her dressed as a man. She had a temple built, and she traded with the neighbors. She was a female, which was really different for pharaohs in ancient Egypt. Today, we're going to listen carefully to learn about more pharaohs in ancient Egypt. Many years after Hatshepsut ruled, another pharaoh would rule for 9 years and then be almost completely forgotten for 3,000 years. His name was Tutankhamun, although today he is known all over the world as King Tut. King Tut was only 9 years old when he became pharaoh, and he died when he was only 19. We are not sure why he died at such an early age. After his death, some thought he may have had some sort of accident. When he died, he was not buried in a pyramid, like the pharaohs in Hatshepsut's time. Instead, during King Tut's time, pharaohs were buried in the hillsides of a valley. That valley was called the Valley of the Kings. None of the tombs of the pharaohs in the Valley of the Kings were marked. So, in an unmarked tomb in that valley, Pharaoh Tutankhamun would rest, surrounded by treasures and forgotten by the world for nearly 33 centuries, a very, very long time ago. Let's get ready to jump way ahead in time from ancient Egypt to a time closer to today. Almost 100 years ago, a British archaeologist named Howard Carter was interested in trying to find the lost tombs in the Valley of the Kings. An archaeologist is a scientist who studies the way people lived in the past. Carter's partner was a British nobleman, Lord Carnarvon. Over the next few years, working for and often accompanied by Lord Carnarvon, Carter found a number of ancient objects scattered throughout the valley. But he had in mind a greater prize. Another archaeologist found objects that had hieroglyphs written on them mentioning Pharaoh Tutankhamun. Howard Carter was determined to find the tomb of King Tut and was convinced that somewhere in the Valley of Kings lay Tutankhamun's hidden burial site. Trying to find the location of the tomb was not always easy or safe. Robbers often showed up to steal any valuable objects wherever they heard of new discoveries. In a book about his career, archaeologist Howard Carter wrote about one dangerous encounter with such thieves in the Valley of the Kings. A band of robbers had learned of a discovery, and on a moonlit night, the thieves crept toward the shadows of the valley, determined to steal whatever they could carry away. But just as they were starting to gather the loot, a second band of robbers appeared with the same idea. Instantly, the two gangs attacked one another in a fierce battle there in the moonlight. The second gang chased off the first, but Howard Carter, in his nearby camp, heard the noise of their fight. Here is how he calmly described what happened next. Howard Carter said, "I collected the few of my workmen still nearby and set out for the scene of action, an expedition involving a climb of more than 1,800 feet over the hills in the moonlight. It was midnight when we arrived on the scene. The guide pointed out to me the end of a rope dangling down the face of a cliff. Listening, we could hear the robbers actually at work. I first cut their rope, cutting off their means of escape. Then, making secure a good stout rope of my own, I lowered myself down the cliff. There were 8 robbers at work, and when I neared the bottom, there was an awkward moment or two. Eventually, the robbers saw reason and departed. The rest of the night I spent guarding the spot." For 6 years, archaeologist Howard Carter searched for the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun. For 6 years, archaeologist Howard Carter searched for the tomb of King Tut. Carter and Lord Carnarvon had focused their attention on one area in the Valley of the Kings. All that was left was the ground beneath some huts in which ancient workers had lived while digging the royal tombs. Carter decided to give this area one last try. He and his men removed the huts and leveled off the soil below. As Carter finished removing the first of the workers' huts, he found something very exciting. For there, lost to the world for nearly 33 centuries, and almost overlooked by Carter and his partner in 6 years of digging, was a stone staircase leading down into the rocky floor of the valley. Carter and his men uncovered the steps one by one until they saw beyond it, in Carter's own words, the upper part of a doorway. Atop the door was a hieroglyphic seal showing that the door had been sealed shut under royal authority. Whoever had been buried here was either royal or someone very important to the pharaoh. Almost overcome with excitement, Carter cut a small hole in the door and shone a light through the hole. Inside, he saw a hallway filled to the top with rocks. It took all his self-control not to break through and begin flinging the rocks out. Instead, leaving some of his men to guard the place, he covered the door up again and rode off through the moonlight, thinking anything might lie beyond that passage. Yet none of them was exactly sure what Carter had found. Let's think about this question. What do you think it would have been like to work with Carter? I'll see you back here next time. Thanks.